If you're a furry, there's a good chance that you probably use apps like Telegram or Discord or maybe like Furry Amino or something. And if you do, that's great because that means you can talk to other furries. Local furries, furries on the moon, furries living beneath the Earth's crust, it's all there. Telegram is my favorite chat program. And according to my phone, I guess it's my favorite app in general. That's almost 5 hours of on-screen time in a 24-hour period. You know, I spend 8 hours a day at work and 5 hours a day on Telegram. Do I have a problem? Anyway, Telegram is awesome. The first time I joined a group chat was surreal. You know that scene in Zootopia where Judy first gets off the train and steps into the city? It's busy and active, there are furries everywhere, and everybody is doing their own thing. Your first time in a group chat feels a lot like that. There are group chats where you meet furries from around the world, group chats for conventions, group chats for local furry communities. It's the best. One of the first things you figure out about group chats is that every chat has a unique flavor, an atmosphere. And it comes from the unique furries who talk in there and generally make the chat go. Usually like 10 to 20% of the members do like 90% of the talking. I could probably tell you who's talking in my chats right now. And once you've been there for a while and all those new people become more familiar, you get to know their personalities a little bit, their quirks, the things they like, the things they hate. Now, most of the time, like 95% of the time, all these furries with different philosophies and worldviews, they get along surprisingly well and they treat each other with respect. And that's great because that's how furries are supposed to be. But the other 5% of the time, well, you know that scene in Zootopia where all the animals hate each other?
Go back to the forest, predator!
I'm from the savannah!
Yeah, it's a lot like that. So this one time I was hanging out in a group chat just enjoying myself, minding my own business, and somebody brings up wanting to buy a fursuit. Now, I'm gonna paraphrase what happened next, but it went something like this. Hey guys, I want to buy a fursuit, but I have no idea where to start. Can anybody help me? I just need someone to point me in the right direction. Oh, you're looking to buy a fursuit? I know a couple of makers who might be open. Do you have a reference sheet? We definitely need to get you a reference sheet. Oh, I can help you figure out what to look for based on your budget. Do you know the differences between plantigrade and digitigrade? There are a lot of tutorials out there to teach people the basics. I have some links if you're interested. Okay. We can do this. Let's do this. Everybody was jumping in to offer whatever help they could. And I remember watching the conversation thinking, yeah, this is what it's all about. This is why furries are awesome. But then, from a dark corner in the room, there was this person. Let's call him Dude Meister. And Dude Meister says, why are you wasting your money on a fursuit? Because I want to be fluffy and cute? You mean fluffy and broke? Fursuit makers are literally getting rich off of people like you, because you'll pay anything they ask. Oh, actually, most suit makers barely make anything after the cost of materials, the equipment they have to maintain, not to mention the hours of work they put in. Is that so? Well, I've done my research, and I hope you're ready, because I'm about to drop on you 15 hyperlinks to all the basic materials that you need to build a fursuit, and altogether you're looking at a few $100s. That's it. You know, the more complicated the fursuit, the more materials you're gonna need, right? So what? It still doesn't justify the absurd cost increase that fursuit makers are levying on us. It's a scam. Hey, do you know how much time it takes to construct just the head by itself? We're talking an average of 30 to 40 hours. According to you. Why don't you ask the several friends that I have who actually make fursuits, and they agree with me. Okay, so while the point of this video isn't to talk about fursuit prices, I did drop a link in the description to a really great breakdown of where costs come from. And it's a great way to learn more about how the whole thing works from a business standpoint. Okay, back to the story. So this back and forth has been going on for like 10 minutes now, and it just keeps getting worse. And at some point I thought to myself, I bet I can fix this. I know just what to say. So I did a few warm-up stretches, slapped on my deal with it face, took a deep breath, and said, actually, the customers are the market, and the market decides what something is worth. If people think a fursuit maker is charging too much, they'll just find a cheaper one. Nobody has a monopoly on making fursuits, so you can find them in all kinds of price brackets. Okay, so what? That doesn't change the fact that fursuit makers are overcharging people. And for a moment I just sat there thinking, what the heck is this guy's deal? I mean, sure, maybe he really believes what he's saying, but what is the point of him talking if he only wants to hear himself speak? I don't even remember what we were talking about before this. And that's when I remembered. The conversation was about helping a local furry who was asking for advice. But now the conversation is about Dude Meister. And every time someone jumped in, it just got worse. In fact, the person who was asking for help originally just stopped talking and probably regretted even bringing it up. But eventually it was over and we all moved on. until a few days later when he got into an argument about something else. And it started becoming a semi-regular thing for a long time. Now, it has been a few years since all that happened, and Dudemeister has chilled out a lot since then. Kudos to you, Dudemeister. You did it. You did it. We're proud of you. But the depressing truth is that there are plenty of people out there who will drag a chat down like this, and they each have their own, let's call it a specialty. For example, there are some people who are into politics, like really into politics, and they feel the need to turn every conversation into a political conversation. You've probably seen it before. It goes something like this. Hey, I finally figured out my Fursona. I'm gonna be a fox. A fox? A fox. Are you saying that you watch Fox News? No. Liar! You're ruining this country! Where are the admins? I'm so angry. This person needs to be banned. Okay. That one was a little over the top, but I think I made my point. Remember earlier when I mentioned that every chat has its own atmosphere? That's what makes people happy to be there. It's an environment where you feel like you can talk and where you feel like you're going to be listened to. But when that environment becomes on and off arguing, it wears people down because most of them find it exhausting. And that's because most people don't enjoy arguing. They're in a furry chat to have some fun, and the less fun that environment becomes, the less of a reason they have to stay. They either stop talking in the chat altogether or they leave. Now, I am glad to say that I've learned a thing or two from watching these incidents over the years. See, no matter what the subject matter is, these bad apples do have one thing in common. They love being the center of attention. See, most reasonable people who have a disagreement with somebody, they'll talk to them privately about it. That's called a private message. There's a whole button that lets you do that. Most people would rather do that than make a scene in front of everybody. But not these bad apples. More than anything, they crave an audience, and they will use the chat as their stage as often as they can. Now, when you start seeing a pattern of this behavior, these people are pretty easy to spot. So if you find yourself in a situation like this, whether they're baiting you to respond, or maybe you feel compelled to jump into an argument that you've been watching from the sidelines, remember that these people want to be the thing that everyone is paying attention to. But for that to happen, they need you to participate, because their argument requires an opponent. So here's how you deal with them. The best method that I've found to dealing with these types of people is ignore them. That's it. Just ignore them and eventually they stop. Toxicity gone, everybody wins. The end.
And they were never heard from again.
Well, that was easy. Okay, that's it for today's video. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.